Okay, back again. It's been a few days. I've been doing some work, but not filming. I ran out of storage on my card, so anyway, as you can see, I'll come around this way. It'll be easier for you to notice what's going on. I've made the floor for the front of the vehicle, and I did it in two halves just because my my bead roller and my English wheel aren't quite wide enough, so I had to. It's only got a certain amount of throat in it, so I could only do that half and then come through and do that half from the other side. So this is the bead that I got made up, and I've just used that for the floor as well. So it's still a little rough looking now because obviously there's a lot of pen and dirt and stuff on there and a bit of weld, so it's it doesn't look the best, but you know, all the things are in the important places, which is basically, you know, what you need. So yeah, so it's in. There's a fair bit of money right there saved. They're not cheap, those floor pans. There's still a little bit here I've got to get done, but just for the purposes of what I'm doing, in hindsight, I made the floor, this floor, because it was the width of one sheet of metal, there to there, and then I thought, oh well, I'll just roll it out and then put the beads in, and then I can just do the extras. But then I realised that putting the beads in was going to warp the panel, being so big, so I put it through the English wheel first. So I rolled each bead with the English wheel, with a big commercial one. They probably only do it, oh, they probably wouldn't even use an English wheel, they just press the whole thing out. But for me, I've got to use my highest crown wheel, and there's a bit of flex in this wheel anyway, so I ran it through like 40 times each bead. I know that sounds like a lot, but I really needed to get a lot of beads in a small area, so I needed to shrink this up a lot. Otherwise the panel will just look like a corn chip, be all bent in all different directions. So the first one I didn't wheel out as much, so this half I only wheeled out 10 on each bead, and it warped to buggery, so I had to wheel that thing out for over an hour just to get all of the buckle out of it. But this half here, I figured, okay, so I needed a lot more stretching in this one because of the amount of beads in it. So this one here, each bead I wheeled out 40 times. So 1, 2, 3, 40 times. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not really. I'm just cruising along. I'm not, you know, pushing for a deadline here. I'm doing this for fun, so it didn't matter. It was quite casual, and it made a big difference. My dogs are fighting the neighbour's cat. Come here. What are you doing? You fighting? No fighting. You just hang around here. It's cold here at the moment, so anyway, drilled some holes out. I don't really know exactly where these pedals are going to go because it was all sort of warped and stuff. These were all bent out of shape, so they look fairly good. This one's out by a little bit, so I think I'll just beat this hole out a little bit more with a pair of tin snips. This is where the steering column went. I actually put a rolled edge on here just to give it a bit of strength, and yeah, it looks good. So there's like $500 there plus shipping. I really don't know how much they are exactly, but they'd be over $500. So that's that one done. And so I thought, because I can't really go any further, I needed to get this done so that I can start to, you know, get the geometry correct, because this vehicle has to go back together just how it was made. So and there wasn't a lot to go by. So what I did was, next problem I had, it's just basically a big basket full of problems. Basically, this thing, it's so everywhere's rusted out, so all my measurements are wrong. Well, not wrong, but they're hard to get. So that's where the floor hits, obviously. So I've got that, but then I don't have this because it's all rusted away. So a lot of looking on the net, seeing how the spare parts are made, because you can buy all these parts obviously. And just to give you an idea, like that little section there, that's $200, and you know, that one plus that one, that's $400. That there, that's $500. You might as well say $1,000 just for these two little bits, and I'm not even 1% into all the damage yet. So you can see how quickly these things can add up to a lot of money, especially when you get someone else to do it for you. Like, you know, a garage, you charge $100 an hour to do this sort of stuff. So, you know, so I enjoy just making things. I enjoy teaching myself how to do stuff. I don't profess to be a professional at all, so this is just me learning as I go. I've never made a combi floor in my life, and I'm only going off pictures off the net. So, you know, if it's not 100% correct, I wouldn't expect it to be 100% correct, because, you know, all it has to do is be strong and have this correct profile here and the correct height there, and that's pretty much what I've got. So down here, you probably might remember I cut this away and put a fresh piece of steel in there, so that gave me a good spot to weld to. So now I've got a continuous weld all the way along. So this is all like one piece now, very strong, and I managed to get some tacks in on the floor beam, so it's actually in there quite solid now. And all of this bracketry that's underneath here, that's what you can see the weld line from underneath. It's all solid welded right up to it now, all the way around, except for this little section here, but it is welded there. So it's welded there, and then it comes up to here, and then it's all the way around. That's just, you'll never break that. That's strong now. It's got seriously thick steel on it. But yeah, back to here. So just trying to decipher. There's about, I don't know, 6 different planes going on there, and what I'm trying to do is I've got a little girl dog that's very loyal to me at the moment. She's only a pup, so she's very loyal but very timid. So she hangs around my feet all day long, and doesn't like anyone else. She's the cutest thing in the world, aren't you? Huh? And he's about 4 years old now. He's a great little dog. Best dog I've ever had. You wouldn't think they'd be smart with that little tiny peanut brain, but they are pretty smart. So anyway, to be able to square this front end. Come here. You stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Okay, so for me to be able to position this front end back up here and start getting correct measurements for distance this way comparative to the, say for instance, the the divider wall, so that my door gaps are correct and my roof height is correct and my sense of squareness and this way is correct. What I have to be able to do is mount it onto there temporarily just with clamps. And to do that, I need to have a structure here to be able to mount that with, because this section here, come here dogs, that cat will eat you. Come here. Come here. So anyway, distractions. So for me to be able to mount this up to this floor area, at least temporarily, because there's a lot of, I mean, just to go back a couple of steps here, the reason why I started this floor was because I needed to make the inner valance, and it's not even here at all. So you've got this valance, and then you've got the other one that mounts onto the bumper bar, sorry, the inside here, and that's originally what I started to get knocked out, but you know, not having it and not having any dimensions is pretty pointless. So I have to sort of work back, say 10 steps to come forward 2, so that I can go back 3 and then go forward 4, and then eventually it'll all sort of line up and I'll have everything I need to put this thing back together. But right now, as I said, I needed a floor because I had a measurement and a dimension from this, so I used that, and I had a measurement from there to, you can't quite see it, but that panel there fits up onto the back of that seat box area, so I had that measurement to there. So I had that measurement. Now I need square, so I need, there's this one up here, I need to be able to measure that one on an angle down to this floor area here, and I need to mount this up so that I can do it, and also make this valance. And to get the valance, I need to work out the gaps here and the heights and lengths. So next step, make this. So now you're in my headspace where I'm thinking. So I've got one hinge here. I don't have the hinge on the other side, but what I've got is this measurement to this cutout here, and it goes up. So this looks fairly straight. This one looks fairly straight. So after a lot of looking over the internet and seeing parts for sale, I came up with a rough guesstimate of 15 centimeters down, parallel to this face and this face. This is cut in and then it steps back out and then it goes straight down. So 15 centimeters is this part here, and then same for that side, it's just a mirror image. So the idea was to replicate that, rebuild this post, rebuild the other post, and then I would be able to mount it up to here, and then build in the valance on the inside of that spot to fill the gap, and also repair or rebuild this whole one here. I'm shying towards just rebuilding the whole one because I'll be cutting this away anyway, and then be cutting it away there, so I'll have free rein just to build a whole new one, and I'll have the correct length anyway. So what I did was I just did my templates, and that basically matches up to there, and then you know, fairly close. Obviously it's got to go under this, so I can't really show you exactly, but after a lot of measuring, that's what I've come up with. And so I made this yesterday, and I got called away so I couldn't finish it, but that'll get me started. And obviously there's a boxing in section here that runs up for strength, and what I'll do is I'll cut a plate to back onto where these bolts are, and it'll be floating so that I can position the doors correctly. I don't know how they were mounted originally, but I'm guessing that they were fixed, and this body was built on a jig so that they would have been non-movable, but I'm going to make it so that I can move it, just because I'm not working with anything that's exacting right now, so a little bit of flexibility is good. So this little joggle here hasn't been put in yet. That's just a matter of hammer forming that back in, and then putting a plate in there with some holes and building the backing plate here. But I'll get cracking and do the other side, the mirror image, and see how I go.